he was always ready to clean up. Everybody loves Tre. He's got a community behind him.
Tre was a goofball. He fit in with all of us goofballs right from the get-go, for sure.
I mean, there was definitely a lot of emotions into it. Definitely made me feel like, in a sense of him being proud that it's getting done.
Working on it and stuff, I was like, Tre was every part of it. That car hasn't had a moment of like peace. It has been thrashed and driven. It's exactly what he would do.
We're just doing a 3-honk start, roll on at 40, and I'm thinking in my brain, like, no chance.
So to me, he was always like that crazy guy, the guy that would always talk up, like he'd always be like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and we're like, you're not gonna do that, that's crazy. And like, next thing you know, he's ordering parts to do it, and he's like, he would always set a goal, and he was never short of that goal.
We don't know how we're going to put the power down, but it'll have it.
Is it rear or
It's just rear-wheel drive. That's when we're running super simple. I stumbled into this place because the door was open. The previous owner, Warner, he had a couple Maseratis and stuff, and I had wandered by. I lived close enough, and his Maserati would be up on the rack, and he had some paint and body guys trying to fix it, and they couldn't figure out how to do stuff. I'd pop my head in and say, hey, you need me to fix that? Oh, you can't fix it. Nobody on island can fix it. I said, all right, I think I can get it. An hour and a half later, his car's running. He's going, oh, awesome, And I go, by the way, if you're looking to sell the shop, let me know. And it came through where things just kind of shook out, everything lined up. The stars all aligned, and I ended up finding a shop that was in a great location.
Scared. Just know.
So tomorrow afternoon, he's picking this thing up, huh?
Dude, maybe.
One speed. It's a bunch of us guys that work on cars, is what it comes down to. We kind of got together, we started doing it. Obviously, I run a shop. It's a great area, it's a fun setup, and it's a good place for us to work on cars. So kind of working our way back is, Jack is the most recent one to join in. I grabbed him from the college. He was going to school there. I have good relationships with the automotive director. He's great people. HUD, I picked up HUD actually from the same program, from automotive. He was 2 or 3 years ago. Jesse, he's actually a lineman for the county, for Hawaiian Tel, I should say. And he as an Evo, likes cars. He's a perfectionist, so he fits in great with the group. First one that came along was Tre. Worked with Tre at Blue Hawaiian when I first got to the island. He worked the ramp. I worked cleaning lots, feeding koi fish, kind of doing the customer side of things. We started working on it, and that kind of devolved into where every Saturday we'd come in, and instead of all working on our own projects, we all started jumping in on one project. Yeah, I think it just started. Tre kept breaking his Mustang, so we started working on that. Yeah, Hud and Jesse were around. Everybody kind of comes in and goes, and it's one where we all kind of rotate. So you end up picking your weekend, and you come in, and everybody jumps in and teams up. When you have a handful of skilled guys all working on it, a project goes a whole lot faster. So, and it wasn't just cars. We started where some of the times we'd flip a car, we'd set up a lift. We were trying to get the shop going and get it efficient. So we essentially would just all hang out and we all work on projects that we all needed work on. Someone's toilet goes out at their house, you have 5 dudes to help put in a toilet. So, but we started doing that, and it's always been going. I think we're coming up on 4 years?
4 to 5 years deep. Yeah. It's been a long time. It's been a journey, for sure.
Well, and that's where we get all of our cars from, where you see, Jack's Turbo Miata. It started, as more of a pile of crap in blue and not turbo, and just one of those where we've gone through and worked on all of our vehicles, just taking turns kind of working through it. So that's, a little bit of everything. Ooh. So today we're doing a lot of the button up the fine work. They always say with every project, the last 10% takes 90% of the time. So we're doing all that. We're getting some reverse lights in, getting our rear bash bar in, tightening up some oil leaks, some coolant lines. We're trying to make sure we have a heater, kind of all the easy stuff. So yeah, we got all the boys in, kind of tightening up different things. Jack is fixing a window that doesn't work. Hud's wiring in and getting the ECU in place. So a little bit of everything. One of the last big things we're waiting for is our headlights to show up from a vendor that's mainland, so of course that takes a little bit of time. But we're essentially we have to run LEDs for custom front blinkers, running lights, reverse lights, and yeah, obviously we got rid of a lot of our bracketing, so we're using our bash bar kind of as double up, so we're going to be running a lot of bracing off of that too, and then running all the wiring over to use as much of the stock wiring and everything that we can. So that's the initial goal.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Tre. I work here at Auto Shop Maui part-time. Today we got another fun build /
I met Tre. I started working, and great people, but I was a new guy on island, didn't know a lot of people. Of course, you get to know people and you start small talk with everybody. Everybody, they kept hearing that I was a car guy, and they go, oh, you need to talk to Tre, Say, oh, who's Tre? And they go, oh, he drives the Mustang. I'm not worried about meeting Tre. But we talk to each other, and it's one where I start talking smack on Fords. And he just rolls with it, and you say, yeah, it's great, man, Fords are terrible. They're almost as bad as Nissans. So we kind of hit it off, and we kind of talk about that. He's the guy that's always there when you needed something. He's like the social beacon, where everybody loves him, everybody knows him, and everybody is convinced he's their best friend. But obviously I was his best friend. But everybody knows that he's their best friend. And everybody relied on him, and he always stood up for it. He was always there.
To me, Tre was just that kid that was always around. There was a lot of talk about him in the streets, like racing and stuff like that. I have a bunch of friends that are into Hondas and racing, so it's pretty funny to hear kid with the black twin turbo Mustang came out again, freaking spanked us. So I was like, oh, I think I know who that is. Then I would see, and when I first met him in here, I was like, you're the kid with the Mustang? You seem so not like that racer type, I guess. He was super humble about it, so.
He was very competitive. I remember one time we were playing, I think Halo just came out, and then I was sick, so I was playing it for that whole week. I got really good, and then he was like, "Oh, have you been playing Halo?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been doing it. I've been playing." And then he hopped on, and then we'd be playing, and then he'd get a call where he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. I just got called in for fire duty. I gotta leave." And then he'd be like, "Ah," and I'd be like, "Okay, no problem. Go get it. That's more important than this." And then we'd just keep playing. It was great.
Tre was a goofball. He fit in with all of us goofballs right from the get-go, for sure. All the fun things we did, racing each other, him almost crashing into me, racing, hilarious. All the little fun, one-on-ones we had, just talking shit about each other to our faces. It's just boys being boys, us having fun.
Build, we didn't get as much done as I would have liked.
Tre was a lot of things. Like he was obviously a firefighter. He was track athlete. I don't know, like all around just super well-rounded guy. The guy that would always talk up, like he'd always be like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and we're like, you're not gonna do that, that's crazy. And like, next thing you know, he's ordering parts to do it, and he's like, he would always set a goal, and he was never short of that goal.
He was never one to stay still. He was always improving. He was always getting better. And he did that where he set his sights on becoming a firefighter, and he got through all the training, and that was one where he struggled through that and struggled and got through, and then immediately, as soon as he became a firefighter, he got into helping the younger guys, the recruits, and training them to get up and through.
So when Tre got online, it's what we call it, out of recruit class, and you're now functioning as a firefighter. He was stationed in Kihei, and when a department is short or a fire station is short, we'll pull from other stations to help backfill the manpower. So I would get sent down to Kihei every now and then when they were short, and that's when I'd work with Tre the most. The young kid with the loud, annoying car was way too smart to be a firefighter. He was ambitious, he was driven, he's all these things, and so getting to know him, I was like, man, this kid is going places.
A lot of boxes here for us to unbox and go through and install. I got 6 days, so it's gonna be a little time sensitive. I'm sure we'll be all right on that. But yeah, let's get rolling.
Obviously, we go through a lot of iterations on cars. And Tre started with like an old SN95 Mustang. It was a turd. It was awful. And he kept coming to me and going, what can we do to make this thing faster? And I said, get rid of it, get a V8. So he eventually gave in, got a V8. It was a 2017 Mustang, the GT with 5-liter Coyote motor. He fell in love, loved the torque. Being Tre, Tre never shied away from it. When he said something, he put his money where his mouth was. So he got this thing, and then he started racing, having fun. He got an itch, and he needed to win. So he decided that we were going to twin turbo the Mustang. So we got this big kit, put the twin turbo on it. He loved it. Got too fast. He blew up an engine. We got a new engine, put in a built engine, tons of power, way too much fun. Blew up a couple clutches. He loved that car, and then he made it so fast that it was undrivable, and no one would race him because he was too fast for anything on the street.
Otto had his FRS, his 8.6. We were driving that, and he was like, dude, honestly, I like this one a lot better. We can do more body kits, like this is awesome. So we kind of leaned towards that. So there was kind of 3 options in his mind, because I have the Z with an LS swap, so he was like, oh, if I do a G with a Coyote swap, we can kind of compete. And I was like, dude, that's awesome, like, sounds great. And then he had this 240 that he was ripping around driving, having fun with, and he was like, it'd be awesome to put it in this, but honestly, this is kind of overdone. I'd like to do something else. And then that's where the FRS kind of came in. And that one, out of all those cars, that was the funnest one that we had, like just going around, messing around, doing donuts, drifting, just messing around. So he decided on that one after getting some seat time and falling in love with it.
But Tre drove the chassis. We all drove each other's car. He drove it. He loved it. He got to the point where he was going, I want that. And we were going, yeah, you should upgrade the engine. We were thinking, a JZ or an LS. And he's going, I want to do the Coyote. And we all went, that's a terrible idea. We looked into it, and there's, I think, 3 people that have done it. But Tre wanted this. He wanted it to be streetable. We were going, okay. So he started collecting parts, got the FRS, 2013 FRS. It was good condition, not great condition. He spent some time cleaning that up. We kept our eye out. Of course, being a shop with vendors, with all the connections on the island, we had the guys, so every time, a car came in on the wrecker and there was a good motor in it, they'd give us a call and say, hey, we've got a 6-liter LS, we've got a XYZ, whatever it is. But one of our guys called and he said, hey, do you guys just like the LS? And I said, well, what do you got? He was going, well, I've got a Ford, I think it's the 5-liter. And I said, oh, the Coyote. He said, I don't know, it's a 5-liter V8. And I said, you know what? How much do you want for it? And he was going, okay, we'll we'll see what we could do. And I put Tre in touch with him, and Tre got it, and Tre was so excited. So we got a motor, we got the chassis, and we were, oof, now we're committed. We took some measurements, obviously. We planned it out a little bit. We were going, okay, we think it'll fit in between the strut towers. We think it'll fit in between the frame rails. That was about as far as our planning got. And then we kind of got all the other pieces together. You know, he started planning. He was going, okay, this is the computer I'm going to use. This is the harness. This is the wiring. Kind of the last big step was the transmissions. And we have Tremec as a dealer. And that was one where he called, you know, and he called in the morning. He's going, hey man, I'm ready. I've got the money set aside. We had kind of done some measurements, some estimates, and we said, okay, it's the new TKX we're doing. It's the one I used in my Nova. We know they're awesome for power. It's going to do exactly what we want. And he called and he says, yep, awesome, order it. I said, that sounds great. And then that was the day that we got the call later that he had his accident.
Is also causing problems on Maui roadways and shutting some popular attractions. Manola Morales has more on that.
The National Weather Service says heavy rain started coming down the slopes of Haleakala at about 1 o'clock Friday afternoon at a rate of 1 to 3 inches. Flooding is expected in the dry gulches of Kihei and Wailea areas.
January 27th, 2023, rainy day, flooding everywhere. It's a normal flash flood type of day. So calls are coming in all over the place. House is flooded. Things are happening. So it's uncommonly common, if that makes sense. It happens whenever we get those big storms and stuff. And our crew was stationed here, and our crew is responsible for helicopter rescues, dive rescues, jet ski, boat, ropes, all that type of stuff. Anything that's outside of a regular fire engine. And so we're sitting at the station wondering which call we're going to go on. And we start hearing dispatch calling for resources to head down to Kihei. Our captain at the time said, hey guys, let's just start rolling to Kihei. It sounds like this could be something. And so we head out and we're on the highway, and maybe, I don't know, a block or two away from the station, we hear a firefighter and a storm drain. And so half of it was, is this really serious? Is this like a flooding call, or were they going on a manhole cover to get like a ball for a little kid and got stuck? Like what do we actually, what's the problem? And so as we rolled, lights and sirens heading to Kihei, it's roughly a 10-minute drive from our station to Kihei from here, lights and sirens going down the highway. And the more information we got as we got closer, the more evident it became that it was a real call, the call that you never want. One of your brothers or sisters down.
County officials confirm the firefighter got sucked into a 4-foot wide storm drain and swept to sea during heavy rains. They said he was carried by storm waters approximately 800 yards to where the drain emptied into the ocean. He was pulled out unresponsive minutes later. CPR was performed immediately and he gained his pulse back.
Starts CPR, gets a pulse, gets him breathing, not very well, but is, I mean, more than you can hope for on a beach. They bring him in, ambulance gets there, they take him to the hospital, and it was kind of one of those where, you know, everybody hears about it, nobody knows a lot of the details. Mom did a great thing, and she started this setup where it's pretty much updates daily on what's going on, so you hear, you know, and you go, okay, he's in there, he gained a little bit of consciousness and he started squeezing fingers. They find out that, you know, obviously there's a lot of water in his lungs, so they're trying to clear it out. There's x-rays that mean this, and it was one of those where over the next week or so, it looked like it was getting better. I mean, everybody's got hope. It's getting better and things are going and they're moving in the right direction. And then all of a sudden we got the word that morning that he passed. And it was rough. You gotta know, I mean, everybody kind of knows you get CPR, it's a long stretch to come back. You know, what do they say, 10% of CPR people survive? So, I mean, but it's one where if anybody could have, it was Tre. And you're going, man, you see the signs and you're going, our boy, he's coming back, he's coming back, he's coming back. I mean, it was a brutal one. It was a surprise.
I remember I believe it was a Saturday, or we were hanging out here at the shop, and we were all working on, I think, Jesse's truck, and that's when we kind of got the news, and yeah, it was rough. We stopped working immediately, and then all kind of sat around, and like we're just processing it. Like I haven't been through anything like that before. Like even when he first had his accident, that was my first friend that I have go to the hospital for something super serious. So that whole experience was like really shaking for me, and I was already like unsure and like scared.
We handled it the way we do, which is we ate a ton of meat and got fucked up. we drank a lot of whiskey, and we kind of talked a lot, and that was when where the big choice came down is the way we decided to cope with it, among lots of other things. We were going, we're not okay with letting this go. We still need Tre around. And the best way we could think of how to do that was kind of grabbing the biggest project that he was working on, where nobody else wanted a Coyote and an FRS. Nobody wanted that build. It was too big, too silly, but Tre was so into it. And we went, you know what, there's no way we can't not do it. We have to finish this project. We have to. You know, and it was when we were going, we don't know if the family's gonna do it. You know, we don't know how we're gonna make all this work. We're not sure where things are gonna line up, what's gonna happen. But it got to the point where, you know, me and the guys, we pretty much said, we need to finish this. So we finished a couple other things. We contacted the family, and it got to the point where we kind of walked through what it was gonna take and what it was gonna do. And they're going, listen, we think that's great, but we don't have the means to do it. We don't have the time. We don't, you know, they can't put in the effort to it. And I was going, you know what, that's just fine, because me and the guys, we need this. They let me buy the car, the engine, everything Tre had done, all the research and gotten. We got it in boxes and pallets taken up the floor, and we brought it in, and we got to hammer on away. And I mean, it's just been a project pretty much for the last year where we've just been digging and sorting out all the problems, finding new issues and sorting those out.
Sorry. So, the day we got the car started, it was a big moment for all of us. And he would have loved it so much. Oh, sorry, it's a tough one. It's really emotional for all of us. You know, watching Otto and Hud go, then Hud took me and we went around the block. And watching Hudson just let loose like that, I really think that, you know, he captured Tre, or how Tre would just let loose. And then it was my turn to drive it, and I drove it around the block, and I sent it for Tre. Yeah, you know, braking periods and stuff, but Tre was never the braking period type of guy. He was like me and Otto for sure, like just full send from the get-go. Things break, oh well, we had fun doing it. After we all got done driving it, we all kind of, you know, huddled up together and really just got in the moment for all of us. But I think Tre would have just been head over heels for this car. Yeah, that was just a great experience, just watching from the beginning to the end and getting it done for him.
Fluid check? Corvette maybe?
Fluid check.
We could heat cycle the Corvette.
We might just sold all of it.
All of it. tell them to get the methanol too, just in case, you know.
So right now we are running the heater lines, so they have heat in the cold winters. So we're popping off some of the AN lines, swapping over to the different fittings to support the rubber hose that we're gonna use. So what makes this motor special is Tre, he loved his Fords. He was a huge Ford guy. We'd give him, you know, we'd give him shit about it all the time.
No, you know he would say something a lot more vulgar than that towards it.
Yeah, it's
He'd tell you screw your LS,
Yeah.
and this is the way to go.
Because I'm a Chevy guy. We're all Chevy guys. We got a bunch of Chevys here. And Tre just loved his Fords, and we ended up finding this engine, and Tre was stoked. He was just couldn't hold his joy in, and he always wanted to put it into one of these. So we're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So just glad that we're to this point now. It's kind of emotional for all of us, but I think he'd be stoked.
3, 2, 1, fire in the hole. Wonderful. She's clean. She's got power, but she's smooth. It still feels good. It feels like a good car, not just a race car. But fantastic. Oh, oh, oh. I love it. Anything else we need to do? Anything else we need to check?
And besides the clock.
Okay. Throw it back on the rack?
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna guide me up?
Yep.
Okay. Beautiful.
Otto, where's the stick? Well, we're gonna check some fluids, make sure everything's good, get ready for the dyno run that we're about to do, and have some fun, see what this thing can do. So, I am making a custom one-speed dash for the FRS. Hooked it up in the computer real quick, and we're about to cut it out of some aluminum. I got a really cool badge for the FRS. Just gotta clean up those edges and she'll be nice. And we'll slap her on there.
Today we are revealing the FRS. We're taking it to the dyno at the college. We're gonna throw it up on the dyno. We are going to spin it up, see what kind of power it makes. We might do a little bit of tuning, but realistically, we're just showing it off. We're gonna make some cool noises. We're gonna probably make a little bit of trouble, see if we can find some problems. Yeah, overall, I think we're just gonna show it off a little bit, which is gonna be great.
So the dyno day, Lawrence was all on board with it. He's the instructor at the school. He was like, yeah, let's get this thing on the dyno. This is the build. Like everyone was there, and like everyone that loved Tre, they were all there. And you know, it's inside of a garage, and everything echoes in that garage.
Jack attack. Yeah, the dyno day was such a great day to see Tre's dream kind of come to life. Like, I know we got to, you know, turn it on and mess with it a little bit beforehand, but the dyno day, just with having his some of his family there and friends, and just seeing the car do its thing, and I felt like Tre would have been through the roof. Whoa, Zoe!
No, sorry, baby.
Dude, I'm super excited. I can't wait for this. I just want to see what she can do. We accomplished what Tre wanted in quite a short period of time. And I don't know, it felt like, it felt good. It really felt good.
Otto, how you feeling?
Good. Good. I'm excited. Excited to see how she does.
And then when you're gonna restart over. Sounds good.
Just to see it all living, breathing, roaring, just on there, just singing out its song, its notes, just something else.
Programming on the dyno a little bit, but I mean the car's doing great. Just holding together, keeping cool. Overall good. Yeah, no, she's feeling good. She's sounding good. The car is doing good. The power curve looks great, which is not as high as we want, but hopefully if we can load down the dyno a bit more, then we can build a bit more power in it. But I mean, she's doing good. The limiter works. So no complaints yet. All right, spin her up again.
Sweet.
That's great.
Thankfully, it's not that loud.
Hell, he was young, he was indestructible. I mean, he was a firefighter, he was in shape. I mean, we used to joke, because he talked about his 36-inch vertical jump, you know, and you're going, boy, you're healthy, I get it, you know? It was just one of those where, I mean, he works out, and he gets in shape so he can do all this stuff, and I'm going, man, he was the specimen. He was alive. I mean, just his personality was alive. Everything about this guy was alive. And I mean, and not anything that would ever trigger you to think elsewhere. I mean, fellow would have run up a mountain carrying, you know, half the city if he needed to. And he could have made it. It was just one of those where you're going, he had so much life in him, and I mean, it's just out.
Tre and me personally, you know, we were rebuilding that small helicopter. When it was finished, he had got the go-ahead from the owner, yes, you can fly with Brandon. And he had told me, yeah, I'm excited, I want to get my license, I want to do this as well, I want to fly tours, I want to do all the cool, fun stuff with helicopters. So it wasn't just that I knew him, but I had made plans with him. And I'm looking at him, he's a 20-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid. He's got decades ahead of him. And so for that to be cut short, is really, really hard to wrestle with.
Me and all the boys, every one of us, we all love Tre. And it's one of those where every one of us had unique experiences with him. So same thing where, down to the air freshener that's in the cup holder. It smells like high school. It's one of those where it's silly. But that's what Tre's car always smelled like. And you always think it's funny and you even make fun of him about it until you get to that point where you smell it and I go, God, that was Tre. So we keep that in there. Every color on the outside, it's one of those where one of the doors was from the color we painted his 240. And then another one is the color we painted one of his G's. And one of the panels, the back panel is from Jesse's truck, and one of the sides is from Hudzy, and it's one of those where it felt like every piece of us got to go into a piece of the car. Down to the fact that the steering wheel that we have in there is the one that Tre picked out. None of us like gold, but it's one of those where it matches Tre, and you're going, and it feels like that's one of the choices that he was intentional about, and we love that we can feel Tre in those pieces. You've got silly ghost pearls, and you've got this crazy color shift, and you've got all these things that you're going, this is the stuff that Tre loved. He just loved too much, so he couldn't just have one color. We couldn't just have a good blue or a good red or a good green. You're going, he was too much for just one color, and I think that was a big piece of how we were putting it together.
Pretty much every part is, we take a step back and be like, okay, is this how Tre would want it done? Is this how we would want to do it? Working on it and stuff, I was like, Tre was every part of it, and then even on the first test drive, I was like, how would Tre drive it on his first test drive? Absolutely, he'd be on the limiter. So, in proper Tre fashion, that's what I did. That car hasn't had a moment of like peace. It has been thrashed and driven. It's exactly what he would do. There's no hesitation. There's no like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel safe doing this. I'm gonna try this. Let's see how this goes. It's fun.
There's definitely a lot of emotions into it, doing it. Definitely made me feel like, in a sense of him being proud that it's getting done. That, wow, I got to see it come to life. It's breathing, it's roaring, it's revving, it's making all the noises. But I can only imagine his first drive and how crazy it would be.
He drove everything. It's one of those where he had his G35 and he drove it like a madman. He had his Mustang, and most people when they put new turbos on their car, they take it really slow for a couple months, get used to it. He took his out that first day and put 500 miles on it, driving up and down 5 Mile to brake in the clutch, and then immediately turned up the boost, went out and blew up his engine. It's one of those where he was there to have fun with it regardless. It was just one where he got the project done and had fun. And we don't want to make the prettiest thing. We don't want to spend 5 months on bodywork making it look great, because Tre wouldn't have done that. He would have driven it, and when it picked up dings, you go, well, there's two options. We can either fix it or we can put some fenders over it. And that was kind of the whole thing is. So we built this not to be a show car or a pageant car. We built this thing to get the snot kicked out of it. Where we plan on blowing up the engine. We plan on exploding the rear diff. We plan on hitting fenders and banging curbs and having issues with it, and then keep working on it. And that's the whole point is I'm going, if Tre was here, he would be doing that with us. He would be wrecking this car, and then we would be fixing this car. So that's where the whole goal is fully functional. We definitely want it functional. We want it to do everything that it can. We want it to look good. We don't want it to look perfect, because the goal was never perfect. Obviously, there's a lot of people that love Tre, that supported him, and and everybody knew that he loved cars. So that's one where we have a lot of people that have been wanting to see it, and we're going to get it on the street. We're going to get it driving. We're going to go, break everything that should be broken, find out what can't be broken, fix it, drive it around.
What the hell?
It's just her washer fluid.
Oh, that's the motor. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see now. Wow.
Because she doesn't have much room under that hood.
That's a tight squeeze.
I remember hearing from Otto, I believe it was, we were at the hospital, just talking when Tre was still, still holding on, and it came up, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna finish that no matter what. We're gonna put work into that car." I was like, "Awesome." And then time goes on, Tre passes, and I see Otto. I can't remember what month that was, how long after, but I remember him saying something along to the effect of like, "We're about halfway." And I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't even know it was going to continue. I just thought it would just end. And so when I heard that, it was, my heart was tugging, and really cool. Okay, cool. And then months go by. I just happened to be at Cars and Coffee, and I see Cole walking around with a giant video camera, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" "Oh, I'm here with Tre's car," and almost couldn't. Tears were there. Where is it? Where is it? And then I see it, ugliest paint scheme ever, because there's orange and blue and greenish yellow and all the things, and then you realize, oh, those are all the cars, those are shades of the cars that he's built or been a part of. And then more tears, more, oh my gosh, like the air fresheners, the length of the shift linkage, like all those little things are little odes to Tre that made it so special.
We'd have all these conversations about like, oh, Papadakis did this and da da da, and I want to do it. Like the dreams, I guess. Yeah. And then when I heard that the shop was going to take on the project, I was like, oh, that's so. Anyway, I'm emotional, but I figure I love it. Man. It's cool.
Oh yeah, baby.
Though you're far away, you're still my closest friend. And I won't be myself until I hear from you again.
Oh, what's up?
I've spent hours racing down this floor. Getting nowhere and before.
I mean, the smell of the gas, the smell of the brakes, the smell of the tires, the smell of, the Coronado cherry, everything is just right. I feel like that just connects the memory straight to it. I love it.